Welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. We are live in Abuja. I am Lydia Odije Ochi. The fourth meeting of the Federal Executive Council for the year 2021 is ongoing at the Presidential Villa. President Muhammadu Buhari is presiding over the meeting, which is the 33rd to be held virtually since the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic 11 months ago. Physically present at the meeting are Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, Secretary to the Government of the Federation and the National Security Advisor. Also in the Executive Council chambers are 10 ministers, while other members of the Council are participating online from their offices across the nation's capital, Abuja. Several memoranda from ministries, departments, and agencies of government are expected to be considered in furtherance of genuine efforts at taking Nigeria to the next level of socio-economic development. NTA News will give you details on the resolutions adopted by the council members at the end of the meeting. The Senate has called on President Muhammadu Buhari to direct the National Security Advisor, the newly nominated service chiefs, and the Inspector General of Police to reorganize Nigeria's security architecture. This followed a motion by the Deputy Leader of the Senate, Ajayi Borofis, which chronicled the various security problems across the country and called on security agencies to actively deploy drones in monitoring forest areas, while governors are to strengthen governance, enhance inter-ethnic coexistence and conflict resolution through dialogue. It also drew the attention of the executive to the urgent need to check the proliferation of firearms and to strengthen the enforcement of the laws against illegal possession of firearms. The legislators called for the implementation of the National Livestock Transformation Plan, which they believe will contribute in preventing heather and farmers' conflicts. Speaker House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila has again raised concern over high cost of governance, urging that be more circumspect in view of the exploding recurrent expenditure. On resumption of legislative business Wednesday, the Speaker intimated members of his intention to raise a matter of urgent importance on the need for reform, as the country cannot keep establishing more institutions that impose what he calls permanent liability on government. The current reality of reduced revenue, which makes it difficult for government to meet its obligations, he added, demands a rethink on tabling of establishment bills, but shift focus to strengthening of existing institutions. In the meantime, the House has instituted an investigation concerning allegations of violation of procurement provisions among infractions by management of Project Development Institute Enugu, as moved by Representative Henry Nwauba. An ad hoc committee has also been set up to conduct the screening of service chiefs for confirmation, as communicated in a presidential request to the House. Away from the National Assembly, more than 300 evacuees from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia have been handed over to Kano State government after completion of COVID-19 isolation period at the FCT Hajj camp. Abdurrahman Usman Jibrila reports.
Awal Abdullahi and Rafia Muhammad are among the 1,319 deported Nigerians by the Saudi Arabian government. Ambassador Bola Akinremi, who handed them over to Kano State government on behalf of the federal government, says all the evacuees have been certified to be negative after COVID-19 testing.
Federal government is making arrangements, and with that, we are not just giving them transport or anything, but something that could also help to do a little thing to start.
Kano State government says the evacuees will now be allowed to freely reunite with families, while arrangements are underway to empower them.
We'll try and see whoever that wants to learn any skill can go in there, and we assist them and support them.
Abdullahi, Rafia and other evacuees say they are ready to leverage on the opportunities and contribute meaningfully to the society. In Abuja, Abdurrahman Usman Jibrila, NTA News.
Congestion in Nigeria's correctional centers will soon be a thing of the past, as the 3,000 capacity maximum custodial center in Karshi, Abuja, nears completion. Acting Controller General of Corrections John Mrabure gave the indication after an inspection tour of facilities. Victor Azu was there.
For so long, overcrowding in Nigeria's custodial centers major sore spots in the country's criminal justice system, prompting efforts by the federal government to address the challenge. One of such efforts is the construction of a 3,000 capacity maximum custodial centers in all 6 geopolitical zones of the country. This one in Abuja, north-central Nigeria, is at 70% completion, and Acting Controller General of Corrections, John Mrabure, promises to keep up the pace of his predecessor and deliver the project within the year.
What I'm seeing here, I'm very sure that by the end of this year, this place will have been completed. Inadequate space for training of inmates, that for reformation as enshrined in the new act to become a thing of the past. At the same time, while they are training, they have this religious morals will be impacted into them so that they become useful citizens on discharge from this center.
The project, which began in 2019, is expected to host a court, 3 security custodies, a hospital, residential quarters, and recreational facilities, among others, aimed at reformation of inmates. In Abuja, Victor Azu, NTA News.
The Katsina Area Command of the Nigerian Customs Service has intercepted smuggled items with duty-paid value of over 30 million naira within 2 weeks of intensive operations. Controller of Customs in charge of the Katsina Command, Adewale Musa Aremu, said among the intercepted items was a petroleum tanker loaded with 210 bags of foreign rice of 50 kilograms each. Shehu Adamu completes the story.
Displaying the smuggled items to newsmen, the controller of the area commander of the Nigerian Customs Service, Katsina, Adewale Musa Aremu, explained that the tanker meant for the haulage of petroleum products was intercepted at Duzama with a contraband concealed as premium motor spirit PMS. Controller Adewale Musa Aremu said upon thorough investigation, operatives of the command discovered that only 1 out of the 4 compartments of the tanker contained premium motor spirit, while others were reconstructed for smuggling purposes.
Custom will never and will not rest on their oars. We will continue to puncture all their antics day in, day out.
Other items intercepted include 1 BMW X5 2014 model car with duty paid value of over 3 million naira, 1 Hilux Toyota 2020 model car with duty paid value of about 7 million naira, and 1 Toyota Land Cruiser with duty paid value of over 17 million naira. Controller Adewale Musa Aremu said in the process only 1 person was arrested as the smuggled vehicles were abandoned. He therefore warned smugglers that the command will not rest in the fight against economic saboteurs. In Katsina, Shehu Adamu, NTA News.
Lagos is our first port of call, and Hingino will be guiding us. Hello, Hingino.
Hello, Lydia. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has seized 40 parcels of cocaine worth 32 billion naira, with 2 suspects arrested at the Tinkan Island port in Lagos. The substance, weighing over 43.1 kilograms, was impounded by operatives of the agency following a tip-off. Abolade Salami reports.
Just like every other vessels berthing at the Tinkan port to dislodge cargoes, after thorough search by all relevant security agencies, MV Spa Scorpion, the consignment housing the illicit drugs, arrived from Brazil and placed under 2 days surveillance by officers of the NDLEA Tinkan Command following intelligence over the contents on the vessel. After the search, NDLEA discovered 40 compressed parcels of cocaine and arrested 2 clearing agents, while the vessel was impounded for further investigation.
This is something that we've been monitoring for quite some time, and eventually we got hold of this exhibit. And the total street value of what we have here is about 32 billion naira. So you can imagine, with this humongous seizure that we have here, 43.110 kg, assuming we were not able to take it off from the suspects and it got its way into the market, it will have been calamitous.
With the renewed commitment of officers and men of the agency to rid the country of all forms of illicit substances, Commander Etnan said NDLA is on a red alert and remains vigilant in achieving the set goals. The body language of the new chairman of the agency, he added, is zero tolerance to drug abuse or trafficking, coupled with dedication to work and discipline. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
Talking environment now. With the rainy season around the corner, there is usually a growing apprehension among communities situated along the riverbank in Lagos State. But residents of Bariga can now breathe a sigh of relief due to the intervention of the federal government in solving their periodic flooding challenge. Michael Olale reports.
Bariga, a metropolitan settlement by the sea but densely populated, suffers from the adverse effects of environmental degradation. And to residents, rainfall has become a major enemy. With the season fast approaching, Charity Sholanke has started having sleepless nights based on past experiences she has had more than 30 years.
It has destroyed a lot of things that we cannot. Even up to now, I'm still trying to get over it. It's not been easy. It has affected my business.
Apprehension seems to be over in the axis, as the federal government is inspiring a wind of change through an erosion control project covering 4 kilometers to mitigate extensive flooding.
The project is about 9 months, but of course, we all know that in a few months' time, the rains will be here. So at the inception of the rain, we intend to have all drainage systems in place. Then, before the rain intensifies, the road work should have been completed too.
The ambience across the 7 communities under Bariga local government is that of excitement that, regardless of the intensity of the rains this season, their homes will be safe from the flood.
This is a very, very appreciated intervention from the federal government to this community. We have not had government intervention in this area in the past 30 to 40 years.
The swiftness by which they started the project, give us a lot of hope, and we believe that this project will continue.
The project is structured to ensure that all the communities under the local council development areas are well impacted by the intervention. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NTA News.
Let's now turn our attention to the economy. Efforts of the federal government to leverage the non-oil sector in driving economic recovery in the aftermath of COVID-19 pandemic is yielding positive results. Abolade Salami reports that various federal government revenue-earning agencies are implementing reforms and policies to achieve this objective.
The face of the current realities as regards COVID-19 pandemic and volatility in oil price at the international markets, most economies of the world had a readjustment to their financial spending in order not to operate on more deficits in their budgets. Nigeria, as an economy that mostly relies on oil as its major source of revenue generation for the implementation of capital and recurrent expenditure, had its 2021 budget reviewed to accommodate economic realities. In this regard, the federal government towards ensuring a paradigm shift from a low revenue performing budget to a more responsive financial estimate, resting its shoulders on internally generated revenue, reviewed some tax policies and charged relevant agencies to be more proactive in the execution for more earnings.
And so we were poised for a full year implementation, the budget on January, which was something that we hadn't done for a long while, and this proves that the delayed passage of the budget was a contributory factor to the inadequate implementation of previous years.
With an improved system of tax payments introduced by FIRS, including automation process, e-filing, and decentralization of auditing system, as well as the electronic payment system adopted by most of the agencies, experts agreed that more taxpayers will be brought into the tax nets, thereby growing the nation's revenue base.
The audit processes too were decentralized, so that we have a very small unit of taxpayers being attended to by the audit team. Those things will improve collection.
While all efforts are being intensified to widen Nigeria's tax net to boost the federal government's source of revenue generation An appeal for a sustained transparent implementation process was also advocated. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
We now take a break. Nationwide continues shortly.
I bring you wonderful news. The village headmaster is coming back to your screen. Mo wire abi mi o wire. Teacher
Ajebo na better school for last gidi. Not be all this on a rugged school for Ijabi. I don't know for you.
Second, it's called Oja Village. Can you see? We no happy at all.
And I know that even you too, you are getting a lot of orders too. Hey, we are trying, shall sweep her leg out. She was standing there. Sweep it.
I love you so much.
And how did I give you the impression that I was interested in that position?
50-year anniversary.
You mean anniversary?
I talk with that now.
Not for me. Not for me because of Pamio.
Life can be very eventful. We curiously expect things to happen, even when we don't know what. Our human nature makes us like and repost lots of information. Some are unverified, inciting anger and hate. Sometimes innocently, other times the urge to break it first. This, in most cases, has caused destruction in many nations.
Burnley is taking maximum points in their last two matches against Crystal Palace. Will they make it a hat-trick of victories when both teams square off at Selhurst Park this Saturday? Find out in Crystal Palace versus Burnley on the Premier League Live, showing on the NTA network from 3:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Papai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up, in association with Gold.com.
Thanks for staying with us. Now the NCDC update. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control has confirmed 1,056 new cases of COVID-19 in 21 states and the FCT. In the new figures, Lagos State is leading in the new infections with 214 cases, followed by Osun with 120. Then the FCT with 116. Plateau has 88. Ebonyi 75, Kwara 73, Gombe 70, Ondo 57, and Rivers has 47 new confirmed cases. Other states are Akwa Ibom 38, Edo 25, Oyo 23, Kano 22, Delta 19, Katsina 18, Borno 16, Nasarawa 13, Ekiti and Ogun have 8 cases each. Bauchi has 4, while Benue and Jigawa have 1 each. With this, Nigeria has 141,447 confirmed cases of COVID-19, out of which 115,755 were treated and discharged, while 1,694 died of the virus, unfortunately. Drivers and commuters who failed to comply with the compulsory use of face masks in Owerri have been arrested and tried by the Imo State COVID-19 Task Force. Bright Ebocho, who joined the enforcement team, has details.
The Imo State COVID-19 Task Force, in its resolve to ensure compulsory use of face masks, took its enforcement drive to Wedwa Road by Cherubim bus stop, where transporters and private drivers were arrested. Some of the defaulters, who appeared before the mobile court set up by the committee, promised to comply with the safety protocols henceforth.
We take correction. We put them on my face mask.
To be having their face mask anytime they are going anywhere.
Sure, I will always be with my face mask. Chairman Imo State Task Force on COVID-19, Professor Maurice Iwu, says the government is not relenting effort towards ensuring an end to the spread of COVID-19. He points out that the enforcement will be taken to the various local government areas of the state.
Using persuasion as our main method of trying to pass on the risk communication. But where the persuasion fails, we are ready to enforce the rule or the law of the land, namely wear face masks whenever you are in public, maintain social distance in all functions, and try to have a system for personal hygiene, washing the hands with soap and water, and or with hand sanitizers.
In Owerri, Bright Ebochu, NTA News.
To enhance the fight against COVID-19 at the University of Calabar, the Cross River State, Ministry of Health is donating personal protective equipment and other items to the institution as it settles in for academic activities. The donation was made when the Vice-Chancellor of the University, Florence Obi, visited the State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Betta Edu. Justina Etem reports.
As the University of Calabar resumes for a new academic session, the University Authority is worried that it may not be able to single-handedly curb the spread of the pandemic in the school. And this is the reason for this visit of the Vice-Chancellor to the Cross River State Commissioner for Health.
We are importantly carrying out a very robust sensitization and awareness exercise among our students and staff on the use of face masks, hand washing, and use of sanitizers.
We're happy that University of Calabar has been very, very proactive. They were able to set up this committee, and the state government is working hand in hand with them to see that we do not have any outbreak of COVID-19 in the university, and we do not have the school shut down as a result of people having so many cases of COVID-19 within that environment.
Personal protective equipment and other items were donated to the university, while the commissioner, in company of the Vice-Chancellor and her entourage, inspected facilities on ground to curtail spread of pandemic in the citadel of learning. In Calabar, Justina Etem, NTA News.
Next is Makudi, and Susan is standing by with more reports on Nationwide. Good to see you, Susan.
Good to see you, Lydia, and welcome to Makudi. The All Progressives Congress, APC, Benue State chapter has flagged off the state membership registration and revalidation exercise in line with the directives of the National Secretariat of the party. Elias Itiao reports that the flag-off attracted several APC stalwarts across the state.
We sit down and look at the problem that is erupting in some of our local governments with a view of trashing them and the project ahead.
The panel chairman, APC registration and revalidation exercise, Benue State,
Mr. Mohammed Ali Mashi, flagging off the exercise in Taka local government area of the state. Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Senator George Akume, who renewed his membership of the APC, says the party has contributed immensely to Nigeria's security, youth empowerment and school feeding programs, among other several initiatives, and needs continuity to achieve more heights for the benefit of the Nigerian populace.
Nigerians are very excited about the exercise, principally because APC is the party that has made a difference in the lives of our people. Look at the landmark achievements of Mr. President.
The state chairman, All Progressives Congress, Abba Yaro, and other APC stalwarts call on communities to ensure adequate protection of the processes and its personnel to achieve the desired results.
I advise them to go and do what's supposed to be done and register at the right time. It should be peaceful, no quarrel.
You can see the teaming number in only one polling booth. And if this is replicated in all polling booths in Nigeria, then you will know that this is a party to beat.
The flag off of the registration and revalidation exercise in Benue State so far is being conducted under a peaceful atmosphere, and members are being encouraged to come out en masse and register or revalidate their registration. In Makurdi, Elias, ATF, NTA News.
Some residents of Makurdi, the Benue State capital, are still grappling with the hike in the price of cooking gas in recent times. They have called on relevant agencies to wade into this unexpected development to reduce the hardship it has caused users. Evacuee Solomon went round the city to assess the situation and brought back this report.
Cooking gas is a product that has been in use in most homes in Nigeria over time, following campaigns by various administrations to end deforestation and the use of firewood. This achievement is now being threatened as the price of cooking gas has continued to rise, which would lead households to firewood as an alternative source of energy. A visit to some gas refilling spots in Makurdi Metropolis indicates that a 12.5 kilogram cylinder is now refilled for 4,800 naira against 4,000 naira in the past. Some buyers said the hike in price has increased their hardship.
Everything in the market now is increasing. Foodstuffs, they are increasing. So increasing the price of gas is another thing altogether. We cannot afford it.
How can we be buying gas? How many kg will you buy that will take you for a month? It's not easy. Please, we are begging the federal government, let them do something about it.
Boniface Anigo, an owner of a gas refilling spot in Makurdi, attributed the increase in price to how costly it is supplied to him.
Put that into the business now, it's affecting us seriously because the sales have dropped. Most people come to buy now, you tell you what kind of thing that this have increased, not even 5 naira or 2 naira to 1,500. The increment is much.
Efforts to speak to officials of the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, in Makurdi was not successful as they declined comments. In Makurdi, Evacuee Solomon, NTA News.
And that does it from Makurdi. It's back to Lydia in Abuja for more on NTA Nationwide.
Many thanks, Susan. The National Orientation Agency, NOA, has uploaded its online youth-oriented programs on For Better Nigeria platform, created towards evaluation of individual perception of the nation as a veritable tool for agenda setting towards youth's engagement in governance. Kenneth Nanim reports that the agency used the opportunity to reward some youths who were outstanding in the online contest across the country.
Following increased calls for youth inclusion and participation in governance, the National Orientation Agency in 2020 developed an online initiative which gives the youths the opportunity to express their views in a minute video on their perception about the nation. Hosted on the platform codenamed #For Better Nigeria, the platform allows participants to share their views and proffer solutions to some of the national challenges.
Is to expand the frontiers of the conversation around our sense of patriotism, love for nation, in the midst of the heightening of the voices of the naysayers.
For proper coordination of this online program, an 11-man team of directors was constituted from various strata to evaluate over 200 entries, out of which 14 were selected. Queen Teresa from Ogun State came first. Victory Asaka and Ferris Obiora, both from Lagos State, took second and third positions.
Young people are always online expressing themselves, and what we just thought to do was to move their mindset from engaging negatively to engaging positively and using innovative tools like social media responsibly.
The National Orientation Agency says the program is a stepping stone on rolling out other youth-focused initiatives for national discourse on development. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Our next report from Uyo says Akwa Ibom state government is developing a roadmap for a robust partnership with indigenous innovators in line with federal government renewable energy program. Already, the State Ministry of Science and Technology is meeting with local inventors to draw plans on achieving technological advancement for global competitiveness. We'll bring you details of that report in our subsequent bulletin. The central bank's stance on cryptocurrency operations in Nigeria has been described as a phase to understand these currencies so as to create acceptable boundaries that can make them beneficial to the country's financial system. This was part of submissions by guests on NTA Good Morning Nigeria while exploring matters arising from cryptocurrency. Butu Amila reports.
On cryptocurrencies is the trend in Nigeria's financial circles today. The volatile, secretive and unregulated nature of these currencies has alarmed the conventional banking world, placing an urgent need to understand the evolving financial order. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria analyze the reasons why cryptocurrency regulation in Nigeria is the best way to secure the financial system of the nation.
It is difficult to allow that to come into a system where you don't have a legal regulatory national framework that could regulate it. So if you look at central bank, the core mandates are financial system stability and price stability.
And it's important, I think, as the central bank is saying, that they need to regulate this industry and understand what it's all about. Bitcoins and cryptocurrency is the fact that you eliminate exchange rates.
What we need to do is engagement, enlightenment. We need to rise up to the position and educate our populace.
Though other guests on the program applaud the CBN's directive to deposit money banks to desist from transacting in these currencies, they also add they may be the future of transactions globally.
Create systems, okay? Create systems such that individuals, corporate organizations, banks, financial players can come in, create their own models based on the legal framework that has been done by the regulatory authority, and you would have a very smooth financial system.
CBN should come in, take advantage of what we have. Like I said earlier, I said CBN can tax people that are trading cryptocurrency.
They also emphasize the need for all agencies involved in money management in Nigeria to study these currencies so as to harness their full potentials. In Abuja, Butu Miller, NTA News.
Effective strategies for achieving sustainable funding of budget circle through the performance of non-oil sector in enhancing revenue growth is shaping perspectives of critical stakeholders under the COVID-19 new normal. Guests on NTA Current Affairs program Tuesday Live commend the continued deployment of technology and other reforms to raise the nation's revenue and meet crucial national expenditures. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports.
Multiple sources of internally generated revenue to sustain funding of annual budget, fast-tracked rapid socio-economic development, and improve the well-being of every citizen is reinventing the wheel for the new approach to meet national needs. These financial tools, stakeholders say, have continued to influence and shape opinions of tax managers and experts with relevant acts and reforms of tax to expand sources of revenue drive and collection.
The Finance Act is looking at areas that have created loophole for taxpayers and blocking those those holes. There will be little
or nothing advantage to be taken of the tax law.
There's confidentiality of data, there's data protection for the taxpayers. They are comfortable, with the data that they are releasing to the tax authorities. They are comfortable with the technology that we will be adopting and, fitting to make tax administration easier for us as a country.
Guests say the deliberate paradigm shift from dependence on crude oil revenue benchmark to fund budget cycles in the past and entrenching the current economic dispensation with taxes and borrowings as key to budget implementation was apt.
The government expects to get, as I said, 7.9 trillion. The government plans to spend 13.5 trillion. So the size of the budget is 13.5. So we have a deficit of about 5.6 trillion. So when you have 5.6 trillion deficit, the question becomes, how do you finance the deficit? What do you do?
The revenue we're talking about, that is the budget we're talking about, is precisely that of the federal government, which is being controlled as consolidated revenue funds of the federal government. So realistically, I would say is tenable. The budget issue is tenable, but we need to do more, particularly from the tax angle.
As stakeholders remained consistent in deploying effective strategies for achieving 15% ratio to GDP in the nearest future, Nigerian tax body is optimistic of exceeding previous revenue profile for sustainable national progress. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
A workshop to sharpen the awareness of Nigerian journalists on the issues of international criminal justice about the goals of the International Court has been held in Abuja. The program is a continuation of a series of workshops seeking to provide a platform for discussion in the areas of crimes against humanity and the role of the International Criminal Court in investigating, prosecuting, and ensuring justice for all. The virtual workshop, which is organized by Wayoma Foundation, also seeks to make journalists play their role as the watchdog of the society so as to report any human rights violation. Several United Nations coordinated international conventions are hinged on protecting, preserving, and perpetuating nature and biodiversity for continued human survival. A future fusion of food, nature, and biodiversity is an integral part of campaigns for sustainable use of natural resources to mitigate climate change. Onenge Fineface reports.
This action comes with dire consequence on the environment. A balance in food production that is done in harmony with nature and animal welfare is the focus of global advocacy on sustainable food systems. United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP, and Chatham House in a study found out that food systems are drivers of biodiversity loss, climate change, and ecological disruptions.
Recognizing the fundamental relationship between the health of animals, plants, people, and the environment. The approach is critical for achieving the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development.
In this age of pandemic, climate and biodiversity emergency, the United Nations warns that salts could be useless in 60 years if food production continues without consideration for the environment. The solution UNEP suggests involves regenerative farming to grow the right food in the right amount for our people empowered to eat healthy and sustainably.
To move toward a global agreement to end factory farming, to reset our food system, to regenerative, restorative ways of producing food.
Farming nature responsibly will replace chemicals, pesticides and fertilizer with natural nutrients, increase forest covers, replenish oxygen and take carbon out of the atmosphere. Onengiye Fineface, NTA News.
Ahead of the UN Food Systems Summit convened by the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres in September 2020, the government of Nigeria is set to roll out the National Food Systems Dialogue across the country. Haman Jabani was part of the webinar and now reports.
The Food Systems Dialogue is required to improve nutrition security, reduce hunger and prevalence of malnutrition in line with the National Food and Nutrition Policy for Nigeria. It will also create more inclusive, healthier food system, encourage a collaborative approach towards building a sustainable food systems, and enhance the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. Convener of the Nigerian National Food Systems Dialogue 2021, the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Olushola Idowu, said the Nigerian dialogue is based on UN 5 action tracks, which include to ensure access to safe and nutritious food for all, shift to sustainable consumption pattern, boost nation position production, advance equitable livelihood, and building resilience to vulnerability, stock, and stress.
The action tracks will draw on the expertise of actors from across the food system, and together they will explore how key cross-cutting levers of change, such as human rights, finance, innovation, and the empowerment of women and young people can be mobilized.
The UN Resident Coordinator, Food and Agriculture Organization, UNICEF, Federal Ministry of Agriculture, UNDP, and other development partners are calling for reduction in food wastage and strengthening communication between producers, marketers, and consumers.
Sustainable food systems do not just help to end hunger. We need to put in place systems to ensure that we produce enough food for the current generation without compromising the ability of future generations to have access to adequate food and proper nutrition.
To ensure an inclusive and participatory dialogue, the Nigerian National Food Systems Dialogue will be organized at 3 levels, which are Inception National Dialogue, Exploratory Dialogue, and the Consolidatory Dialogue. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
The UN Food Systems Summit will hold in September 2021. You are still watching Nationwide on the Nigerian Television Authority. Now time to link up with Enugu Network Center, and Chinenye will be our guide.
Thank you, Lydia, and welcome to Enugu. Enugu State Government says it is over-appreciative of efforts by individuals and organizations in bringing development and improving the lot of the people of the state. Deputy Governor Cecilia Ezilo stated this while inaugurating buildings and other facilities rehabilitated by a religious charity organization at the State Rehabilitation Center in Emene. Susan Eze has details.
The Enugu State Rehabilitation Center, Emene, which has suffered years of neglect, recently got the attention of the Enugu State government when the State Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi paid a visit to the center. Following the release of funds by the State Executive Council, the center began to enjoy a facelift through the Ministry of Gender Affairs and Social Development. In support of government's efforts at rehabilitating the structures at the center, a religious charity group in partnership with the deputy leader of the Enugu State House of Assembly, Ikechukwu Ezogu, took up the renovation of the administrative block.
Actually, I do not know how to thank you, but take our greetings, take our appreciation to your headquarters in Utah. May God bless you.
We believe that government cannot do it alone. So whatever we can do to support them, we'll be happy to do that.
I wish to call on the philanthropic individuals and organizations to emulate the commendable work of this church.
The center also got a donation of 6 wheelchairs from the Cecilia Ezilo Foundation. The Emene Rehabilitation Home also has a vocational center set up to equip the indigent inmates with entrepreneurial skills. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
Ahead of the November 2021 gubernatorial election in Anambra State, the People's Democratic Party PDP Southeast Zone is strategizing to ensure victory at the polls. Addressing journalists at the end of a zonal meeting in Enugu, acting zonal chairman Southeast Ali Odefa said the party is leaving no stone unturned on the path to victory in Anambra State. Again, Susan Eze has details.
Emerging from the closed-door meeting, the acting zonal chairman made it clear that discussions at the meeting centered on strategies to ensure that Anambra State joins the list of PDP states in the Southeast Zone.
We're talking to people, we're consulting, we're reaching out to everybody in all the states, in all the corners, we're talking to everybody. This is with a view to make sure that we achieve success.
He also announced that the meeting adopted Governor Evacuee as the leader of the party in the zone. Meanwhile, Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State, who paid a condolence visit to the state on the death of a serving commissioner, made a brief appearance at the meeting where he noted that it was high time the party put its resources together to ensure victory at the Anambra polls.
Anambra used to be a PDP state, but because of the banglings and not giving in, that's what has made PDP to lose Anambra. We have only 2 states now in the south east, which is Enugu and if we add Anambra, it's a good post for us.
The Anambra governorship election is scheduled to hold in November 2021. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
And that is it from Enugu. Nationwide continues with Sadia in Sokoto after this commercial break. Do stay.
The broadcast media ecosystem is dynamic and requires continuous training for practitioners to perform optimally. NTA TV College Jos invites relevant officers to the following specially packaged training programs. Intermediate online news reporting skills. Date 1st March to 12th March 2021. 2 weeks. Studio lighting indoor and outdoor. Date 1st March to 5th March 2021. 1 week. Modern trends in broadcast media marketing. Date 15th March to 9th April 2021. 4 weeks. Understanding public service rules and mastering the art of standard minute writing, reports, memoranda, and briefs. Date 15th February to 12th March 2021. 4 weeks. The course fee for the 4-week courses is 100,000 naira per participant. The fee for the 2-week course is 80,000 naira, while the course fee for the 1-week course is 40,000 naira only. Accommodation inclusive. Venue for all the courses is the serene and secure environment of NTA TV College near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos. For more inquiries, please call 0803-314-4383 or 0806-980-9807. NTA TV College, Jos. Training you to be the best you want to be.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
A new edition of TV Guide is out with special focus on the game changer, His Excellency Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State. Broadcasting in a digital economy, Maxwell Logo gives an insight. This edition also features Nancy Naji of AIT, a name synonymous with business. Meet the NCDC boss, Dr. Chikwe Ihekweazu. TV Guide, your indispensable companion, also x-rays the relevance of social media in the modern society. Meet some TV professionals who have impacted their spaces and other inspiring stories in sports, entertainment, and lots more. Grab a copy at the vendor near you or NTA stations nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
Burnley is taking maximum points in their last 2 matches against Crystal Palace. Will they make it a hat-trick of victories when both teams square off at Selhurst Park this Saturday? Find out in Crystal Palace versus Burnley on the Premier League Live, showing on the NTA network from 3:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Papai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up, in association with Gold.com.
For staying with us. Federal government says it is committed to bringing an end to HIV and AIDS in the country by the year 2030. This came to the fore at a 5-day capacity strengthening of key vulnerable population in access to HIV and AIDS services efficiency in Sokoto. Elata Abdullahi reports.
The training brought together 25 participants across the 23 local governments in the state. Director General, National Agency for the Control of AIDS, Dr. Gambo Gomel Aliyu, said the idea is to equip the participants with basics about stigmatization and discrimination and how to identify careers at the grassroots and link them with health centers for treatment.
There is just no way we can end AIDS and prevent HIV spread among our people, as well as death from HIV, without controlling and containing HIV within people that have HIV.
Sokoto State has centers spread across the state, including antenatal centers for fighting the disease.
There is need for people living with HIV/AIDS to participate or to enroll into the state contributory health scheme. That will afford them additional opportunity for them to access drugs and medicine that is outside the HIV and AIDS drugs.
Some of the participants speak on the training.
So I'm sure that we will deliver and impact to our various communities for groups within the state.
It will also help when it comes to managing HIV as a whole.
Meanwhile, the Director General of the National Agency for Control of AIDS visited the Sokoto State Governor, Aminu Waziri Tambol, during which he solicited support to facilitate the activities of the agency. In Sokoto, Lalatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Now, a notorious bandit terrorizing people of Sokoto, Zamfara, and Katsina State has repented and embraced peace. Daudawa, who took oath with the glorious Quran alongside some 5 members of his gang, also surrendered sophisticated weapons at Government House, Gusau. Sadia Abubakar Tunau has more.
The notorious bandit, popularly known as Awalu Daudawa, was said to be a gang leader of the armed bandits operating from Gidanjaja, Dumburum Forest along Zamfara-Katsina boundary. He, alongside some other 5 members of his gang, renounced banditry and surrendered their weapons to Governor Bello Muhammad at Zamfara State Government House, Gusau. The repentant bandits, who individually took oaths with the glorious Quran before heads of security agencies, traditional and religious leaders, vowed never to go back to banditry and other related crimes. They also sought for forgiveness from the general public. Governor Bello Muhammad said the development is in furtherance of the peace process initiated by his administration, expressing optimism that more of the bandits would lay down their arms soonest. The State Commissioner for Security and Home Affairs, Abubakar Muhammad Dauran, affirmed that reconciliation remains the best option for the ongoing struggle to achieving lasting peace in the state. The weapons surrendered by the ex-bandits include 20 AK-47 rifles, 1 general-purpose machine gun, a rocket launcher, 22 magazines, and rounds of live ammunition. In Gusau, Sadia Abubakar Tunau, NTA News.
And that's it from here. It's back to Lydia in Abuja.
Many thanks, Sadia. The Nigerian Union of Journalists, NUJ, is soliciting partnership with individuals and corporate organizations to host the 2020-2021 Press Freedom Awards in commemoration of World Press Freedom Day, coming forth on the 4th of May 2021. Abdul Malik Hassan reports.
The Nigerian Constitution not only guarantees freedom of expression, but also gives the media a role of being a watchdog. Despite these, media professionals are said to be suffering from harassment, threats, injuries, deaths, and imprisonment while discharging their duties. A development that prompted the Nigerian Union of Journalists to institute awards to honor media professionals with outstanding performance in the course of these challenges. The 2021 World Press Freedom Day is fast approaching, and NUJ is perfecting plans to reward outstanding performers and pay tribute to those who lost their lives in line of duty.
1 torchbearers of Press Freedom Awards will be given to journalists who have faced harassment, physical injury, imprisonment, or death in their line of duty. Press Freedom Platform Awards will be given to media houses that have supported press freedom. Corporate partners of the media awards will be given to diplomatic missions, multilateral or agencies that have supported press freedom.
The 2020 Press Freedom Awards, which was postponed due to COVID-19 pandemic, will hold concurrently with the 2021 edition. In Abuja, Abdulmalik Hassan, NTA News.
That report now concludes Nationwide. We thank you for being a part of it. I am Lydia Odije Oche. Remember to be a star and join NTA in the stand against rape and rapists. Have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.